When we run experiments, there are always variables that affect the response but aren't of primary interest. These are called nuisance factors. Even though we don't care about them directly, they introduce variability, which can make it harder to detect real treatment effects. If we ignore them, our results may be misleading or less precise. So the goal is not to eliminate them entirely, but to account for them properly in the design or analysis. Nuisance factors fall into two categories: blocking factors and covariates. Blocking factors are variables we can control, like grouping similar experimental units together. Covariates, on the other hand, are variables we cannot control but can measure. The key difference is control versus observation. Both types can be either qualitative or quantitative. This table summarizes how we deal with nuisance factors depending on whether they are known or unknown and controllable or not. If they're known and controllable, we use blocking. If they're known but uncontrollable, we use ANCOVA. If they're unknown, we rely on randomization to balance their effects across treatments. When we include a covariate in our analysis, we use ANCOVA, Analysis of Covariance. This method adjusts for the effect of the covariate on the response. A key point is that the covariate is related to the response but not influenced by the treatment. We typically model it using regression, especially when it's quantitative. Remember, we're not interested in the covariate itself, we're just controlling for it. In ANCOVA, we assume a linear relationship between the response and the covariate. If we plot expected response versus the covariate, we expect to see parallel lines for each treatment. This allows us to compare treatments at a common value of the covariate. The assumption of parallel lines is important. It implies equal slopes across treatments. The ANCOVA model includes both treatment effects and the covariate. The equal slopes assumption means each treatment has the same relationship with the covariate. This allows us to compare treatments by looking at differences in intercepts rather than slopes. The usual assumptions about errors still apply. Because we've added a covariate to the model, the definition of the overall mean changes slightly. The parameter mu' reflects this adjustment. The overall mean is now influenced by both treatment effects and the covariate. If the equal slopes assumption does not hold, we need a more general model that allows each treatment to have its own slope. This introduces an interaction between treatment and covariate, making the model more flexible but also more complex. Here we estimate the parameters of the full model using least squares. This should feel familiar from regression, same idea, just extended to include treatment effects and covariates. The estimate of sigma squared has one fewer degree of freedom compared to ANOVA because we're estimating an additional parameter, the covariate coefficient. Every parameter we estimate reduces our degrees of freedom. In addition to standard assumptions, ANCOVA requires that the relationship between the response and covariate is linear. We check this by plotting residuals versus the covariate. If we see nonlinearity, the model may not be appropriate, and we may need to transform variables or use a different approach. In ANCOVA, we test whether treatment effects are equal after adjusting for the covariate. This is different from ANOVA, where we test whether all treatment effects are zero. Under the null hypothesis here, all treatments share the same adjusted mean line. The reduced model assumes no treatment differences, just a single regression line. We estimate its parameters using least squares, just like before. We compute the variance estimate for the reduced model. The key question now is, which model fits better, the full model with treatments or the reduced model without them? We compare the two models using an F-test. The idea is to see whether adding treatment effects significantly improves the model. The numerator captures the additional variation explained by treatments, and the denominator is the error variance from the full model. This F-test specifically evaluates whether treatment effects differ after adjusting for the covariate. Importantly, we do not test the covariate itself, it's a nuisance variable not of primary interest. In most cases, we are just including the covariate in the model for the purpose of making the error more precise. This is the standard ANCOVA table. Notice that we don't focus on F-tests for the covariate. The main focus is on treatment effects adjusted for the covariate. Before finalizing the model, we should test whether slopes are equal across treatments. We do this by including an interaction term. If the interaction is significant, slopes differ and we must keep the interaction in the model. In this example, we study balloon inflation time across different colors. A trend in residuals suggests a violation of independence, likely due to time or run order. The residual plot clearly shows a pattern over time, indicating that something systematic is affecting the results. This suggests we should include run order as a covariate. Here is the data. Here we analyze the data including the interaction term. Since the interaction is not significant, we conclude that slopes are equal and can proceed with the simpler ANCOVA model. After removing the interaction, we see that color has a significant effect. Including the covariate improved the model and clarified the treatment differences. The residuals versus order plot looks much better. We conclude that at least one treatment differs and that the model seems to be adequate. The next is to perform post hoc comparisons to determine which treatments differ. We can construct contrasts to compare specific treatment combinations. These are based on least squares estimates from the full model. This slide shows how to compute the variance of a contrast, which is needed to form confidence intervals or hypothesis tests. Using the contrast estimates and their variances, we can construct confidence intervals and perform multiple comparison procedures, just like in ANOVA. From the Tukey results, we identify which treatment pairs differ significantly. This gives us a complete understanding of how treatments compare. Here we use Tukey's method to compare all pairs of treatments. Any comparison with a p-value less than 0.05 is considered statistically significant. So only color pairs 1 to 4 and 2 to 3 have mean differences that we would not consider different from 0.